So welcome to Conversations with Tenzin. Today I have my good friend Victor Vergara from Mexico, but he likes to call himself from the world. So Victor is also a SPURS fellow here at MIT, SPURS, which stands for Special Program for Urban and Regional Studies. And he has been my dear friend and a good colleague for the past 10 months. And I have been very, very lucky to have shared a lot of conversations which were not recorded.
Right.
So today I will be recording this. And I'm doing this podcast because I meet a lot of interesting people on campus and in my life. And I don't want to forget the people and their stories. So I don't want to forget you and your stories.
Me neither. Me neither. So it's good that we're talking.
Yes. So if you can start, we can start by, who is Victor Vergara?
So I'm the eighth child. I'm not the eighth child. I'm the seventh child in a family of 8.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
My father was an architect, and my mother was a beautiful, beautiful mother. She still is. I grew up in Mexico until I was a young man, and our family moved to Washington when I was 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a very curious, full of curiosity. I want to understand how things work. I've had a wonderful life trying to satisfy my curiosity.
Brilliant.
So what would you like to know about my life?
I mean, your journey. I mean, you have you're an MIT alumni.
Yeah.
You have already been an MCP a long time back,
Yeah.
way back before we were even born.
I was here before
So
some
I
of you
wanted
were
to
born.
know your journey from that 11-year-old child to what made you pursue city planning.
Sure.
And then what you thought you could do and how you jumped into the real world. Like
It's
what
been
kind
a
of job?
convoluted story. So I'll try to simplify it. I graduated young from high school
Mm-hmm.
because I was afraid of going back to Mexico without having a high school degree.
Oh, okay.
And my parents were discussing going back, and so I decided to accelerate my high school. So I graduated young. I was expecting to go back home to Mexico, but we didn't. And I found myself in need of studying. And I went to a community college, which I love very much, close to my house.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to go far away. I was only 17, barely 17. And I started studying biological things. I like biology.
Interesting.
And during my time there, the first maybe a year or year and a half, I saw a television program. It was a very famous series. It's called Nova, and the program was called "Where Did the Colorado River Go?"
Mm.
And the Colorado River ends in Mexico, but it doesn't really get there anymore. It's dry.
Wow.
And it's a story, an ecological disaster of how the river has been abused and dammed, and it no longer reaches Mexico. And that story captivated my imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked around to see what I could learn about that more. So I changed my studies to water resource management. Mm-hmm. And that's what I studied. I transferred to the University of Maryland, and I studied water resource management. Mm-hmm. I also became more interested in biology because when we did a dissection of a frog, I helped the professor out, and he took all the frogs that we didn't dissect or are alive, and he put them in the refrigerator. And I said, "That's incredible. What are you doing with the frogs?" I said, "Oh no, they'll be fine. They'll go to sleep for next semester." And I found that more interesting than the frog biology. I said, "How can you manipulate that?" That's fantastic. So with that mindset, I did a master's in aquaculture.
Oh, wow.
Trying to understand how...
So that was before Masters of City Planning?
Yes. So I have a master's in agriculture from Texas A&M University. Mm-hmm. I went to Texas A&M. It's a very, very good school for these issues. I also had an emotional attachment to Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. This is my grandfather's ring. Okay. So he went there. He graduated in 1920 from Texas A&M.
Okay.
So as a young man, I went to do my master's there on fisheries, and I I enjoyed it very much. I did research. I published papers on fish nutrition. I learned a lot. I was very happy. I took a class on international development from a very reflective, wonderful architect, Jesus Hinojosa, a man of Mexican descent. And he, when I told him that I was captivated by all this development economics and planning, he's the one that told me to go to MIT.
Great.
And I didn't apply to any other school.
So that was your source of inspiration.
Yeah, he said, go to MIT. It's a good planning school.
Okay.
So that's the only school I applied to.
Just a good MIT.
Yeah. Now I graduated from Texas A&M. I kept in touch with him, and that's when he recommended Texas A&M, and I went back. He recommended MIT, and I went and I applied. At Texas A&M, and in my work in Mexico, I worked for 3 years with the national government. I learned tremendous amount about my country. I traveled a lot. We were a young team doing very interesting development work in rural areas with rural fisheries communities, rural inland and also coastal communities. And there I learned about spatial planning. I learned about the importance of the geometry of development, of how you need to be strategic about where you develop and where you don't, so that you can maximize the use of land use. And when I came to MIT, I studied that. I did my thesis on shrimp farming in the School of Planning. That, I mean, I think it's the only master's thesis on shrimp farming. Yeah. And it took the idea of structural transformation. I did an input-output analysis. I had the great guidance of Professor Karen Polensky, a beautiful professor. And so that I've had an interesting journey, my academic journey. I love to learn, and I'm back here. I'm 63, and I'm back at school learning. After that, I guess we can speed it up. I ended up in the World Bank, and I spent there 33 years, always working on issues of urban development, regional development. I kept to the promise of what I wanted to do when I came to MIT about learning about regional development and more specific. And during my time at the World Bank, I learned every day. Every day I learned. It's almost shameful, but they pay you to learn, and I took advantage of every day that I could.
And I know when you were working for World Bank, when I first met you, we were talking, and then we got to. I remember that you had done one project in Bhutan. Yes. You were there for a workshop, seminar. Yes. And then I went back to my room and I looked at the photos, the history that I had, and I found you.
Yes.
So you had some interesting stories to share from that time.
Yes, it was a beautiful trip. In the World Bank parlance, they say it's a mission, but it's really a trip, a business trip. But I was there with a seminar. We were doing some stock taking to prepare, among other things, a regional report on urban development. And it was a very special trip for me, because my second daughter, my second oldest, was graduating from high school. And we went straight from her graduation ceremony to the airport to fly to Bhutan. A young girl, 17.
And she was not happy.
She was not happy to miss her party.
Yes.
But she was very happy to have seen the beauty of your country. She worked with a famous artist.
Vast.
Vast is his name. He was very kind to her. She spent...
Vast is the organization, and there's someone called Karma, so he must have worked with Karma.
That was him. Yeah. I don't recall the name, but it sounds about right. And she spent about 10 days with him, and she asked him if she could do a painting using the trash that had been thrown away, the paint that had been thrown away.
Wow.
She said she did not want to take any paint. She wanted to ensure that paint didn't end up in the trash in Bhutan. She wanted to take it out. So she used all the paint that was thrown, and she reclaimed it, rehydrated it, and did a painting there. She also got some grass from around the workshop, and she put it on the painting. And it's hanging in my office where I work. So that painting is very important in my life. Yeah.
Wow, I would need a picture of that painting.
I'll send you a picture
Yes,
of the painting.
thank you.
And she put her hand in the painting as well. So the silhouette of her hand is there as a young person in Bhutan when she spent her
I'm sure the
days.
hand has grown big.
It has grown since. Yeah, it has grown since.
What? That is a wonderful story that we shared when we first met.
Yes.
And I think that is something that I'll always remember. And my next question, Victor, is now you are an amazing person who keeps learning, who has hunger to learn, and you feel like this is not enough. So now my question is, what next? What are you thinking about next?
Yes.
We're finishing SPURS program. So what next now?
Well, I think my immediate plan is to finish reading all the stuff I haven't read during the semesters here.
You didn't do your assignments?
I haven't finished reading everything.
I'm just joking.
I took too many classes, which was what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And I was not able to read everything. So I already have a backlog of reading to do. So I'm going to be doing some of that. I am going to be working in the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, a colleague from MIT.
Okay.
Someone who graduated here has engaged me, so I'll be doing some work there related to my latest evaluation that was on solid waste. So I'll be doing that. I've also been invited to work in a couple of universities in the Washington D.C. area.
Back home.
Yes. Well, back where I live now.
Yes.
I think home is the world, but I now
You still insist.
Yes, I reside in Washington. I have a very big debt to pay to my garden.
Okay.
I have not taken care of my garden.
Yeah, that is another aspect of you. You love gardening.
I love vegetable
that.
gardening. Yes, and I think I'm going to change. I'm going to change significantly what I have done. For the past 34 years, we have had a vegetable garden. And so we've produced a lot of what we eat at home. Almost every day we eat something from the garden, either frozen or fresh. And so I think it's very, very motivating. But I want to change. I want to be working now. I have a nephew who is working in a permaculture environment, a much more ecological approach to food production. So I want to change my garden a little bit to that that mindset. Minimize any. Well, I don't use any chemicals, any insecticides. The insects in my garden are my partners.
Okay.
If they eat well,
you're happy.
Yeah, I'm happy as long as they don't eat everything. I don't use any herbicides either. But I want to go a step further and have a more permanent way of producing without having to till the soil, without having to disturb the soil, which is very bad. And so I'm eager to learn about permaculture and see how I can apply that. I also found a love at MIT, which I was yearning for, which is sailing.
Yes.
I took sailing classes here. The professors, the teachers here are, I think they're among the best teachers at MIT.
Okay.
They give you a skill that is of elementary value and of ancient heritage, and learning how to move with the wind. More importantly, learning how to move against the wind in a river is a very empowering and skill that it humbles you to be able to go against the wind, and it gives you great, I think, strength to do other things. So I'll be joining a sailing school, hopefully in Annapolis and Maryland. It won't be the luxury I have here of walking to the river. I'll have to get in a car, which I haven't done that for a year. I've loved not driving.
That sounds amazing.
But yeah, so I'll be a student of sailing and other things that are coming up. I need flexibility. I have a granddaughter I want to see more, and my wife and I will be traveling.
And how many times have you fallen into the Charles River?
I have only my leg, and I regret. I think I would have liked to have fallen the whole body, so I know how it feels.
All right.
There's a chance I will fall next week, so there's still time.
I hope not.
But I think it's necessary to learn how to get out of a bad situation, and so it's a life skill as well.
Beautifully put. Yeah, that's very important. So yeah, I wish you all the best. I think you have a lot of interesting things lined up, So it looks
Yes.
like you are going to be very busy. You've been busy.
I've been busy, and I think one of the things that has carried me here has been the love for my family, my parents. My father passed away a few years ago, and at 102 years old. It seems to me that old architects, good architects, always become old. You know, there are many architects that go to past 100. I don't know why. And he was just an inspiration to me beyond description. And my mother as well, and my faith. I am someone in my routine every day. I do readings from my church, my Catholic church. I read the readings every day, and it has helped me a lot, especially through COVID. And I really enjoy the reflection about our the spiritual side of life. That has been very important to me.
Thank you. That was beautifully put.
Yeah.
So my last question is something that I ask everyone. What motivates you every day? Why do you do the things that you do?
Yeah, I guess. Well, I think my faith in God, and my family, my family, my brothers and sisters, and also my wife.
Yeah, I met her. She's a wonderful lady.
Yes, yeah. I always wanted to marry someone that was stronger and smarter than me, and I found her.
Lucky you.
Yeah, and so I'm very proud of my wife, and so we get along. She motivates me every day. My faith, my family, and just the ability to find out more about everything that goes around us. You know,
Yes.
fulfilling curiosity. I think that's what keeps me going.
Yes, I know you're a very curious person. Yeah. So I could see that coming. So thank you so much, Victor.
Thank you very much. It's been wonderful knowing you, and I,
likewise.
The introduction to Bhutan to me was, I think it was only an introduction. I want to go back, and it's a beautiful country, and I share many of the dreams and aspirations of just being happy in a beautiful place. So congratulations on your country, and I'm expecting beautiful things from you as you contribute to the happiness of your country.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you so much. And every words mean a lot. And yeah, I have to live up to the expectations now.
Good.
Thank you for listening to Conversations with Tenzin. I'm doing this podcast because, like I said, I meet a lot of wonderful people on campus and in my life. So I don't want to forget their stories, especially their stories. So this is the reason why I'm doing this. So I hope everyone enjoys listening to these conversations. So thank you.
Thank you, Tenzin.
Thank you.